violation to our basic rights are urgent problems that must be addressed at national, regional, and international level.
I think for the past few decades in Malaysia, migrant workers have been seen as a temporary measure for the government of Malaysia just to fill up the labor requirement.
Even when we have little legal rights, those rights can be easily deprived by the other more powerful policies. I lay down the above realities, which also mentioned by the book as a pre-existing problem of migrants before the COVID-19 pandemic.
Workers in Malaysia, especially migrant workers working in the low-paid sector, they are considered as unskilled and they are doing all the 3D job, meaning dirty, demeaning and dangerous job. For most part of the work, for example, in plantation sector, they are the one will do the most labor-intensive work. For example, harvesting or loading of fruit. So these are the toughest job that I think local. We don't really work in that sector. And issues like unpaid wages or workers not being paid of their wages more than 3 months, that also indicate to incident of forced labor. And workers are placed in a situation of debt bondage because they have to cover the recruitment cost that is very excessive. It's also shared by our country researcher from Taiwan. I guess the same situation in Malaysia. Issues like retention of passport, the moment they entered Malaysia and in the airport, the employers already taken away their passport and becoming a norm in Malaysia.
It's a long debt bondage supported by the judicial system and legal system, and confiscation of all the personal IDs and personal documents, and lack of labor inspection in the household and fishing vessels, and physical violence, especially in the domestic works and the fishing, and sexual harassment and rape. They are still excluded from the Labor Standard Act.
The world must prepare for a potential coronavirus pandemic.
Some of the coronavirus story we're following this morning.
Earlier this year, in late February, the number 32 confirmed case was an Indonesian undocumented caretaker. She got the disease very probably by a patient she took care for some time. And then she left the house, she left the family. There was public fear that maybe this worker will spread this disease everywhere. So some officials, they have very negative and hostile statements against the undocumented migrant workers. At that time, many NGOs, including us, we demanded that the government should have a general amnesty for the undocumented migrant workers so they can come out for medication, at least to check up. And that's safer for everyone actually, because the more you want to catch them, the more you want to crack down to arrest them, the more they will hide.
Also not so much different between before and then during the pandemic itself. There are issues of unpaid wages, workers, especially daily paid workers, because in Malaysia not all being paid monthly, but some workers are paid on daily paid or even some hours of work, and some other workers depend on the productivity itself. So if they are depending on this, if the work structure is like that, they will lose their income because they can't work every day. On the aspect of everyday life, we have listened from the workers that they are having difficulties to access food, and in extreme situation, the workers, that also led to real risk of hunger. So this is not just some story that people are making up.
Health, because this is a public health crisis. The rights to health has been violated through limited or no access to healthcare, goods, other essential services, information, as well as safe living and working conditions. And migrant workers who are stranded face the risk of losing their legal status after their visas expires. And when they are given extension of visa, they are only short-term or case-by-case extensions. And these extensions do not properly protect the rights of migrant workers. And due to the sense of uncertainties that coming from these situations, the mental health conditions of migrant workers has been deteriorated as well.
While the regulation of home countries are more oriented into sending more people abroad under the pretext of globalization and international labor market competition, sadly, protection is the least in their national agenda, and it is proven to be true, especially in time of crisis like now. Moreover, up to now, there is no regional legal binding agreement in Asia to protect migrants, and even regional formation like ASEAN has failed to manifest such simple expectation.
So as a conclusion, as it has been explained very, very well already, so the most challenges faced by migrant workers are rooted in the ways that they have been treated and positions in the society since long time before COVID happened. So they were treated as workers just to serve based on national interest, which is often centered around economic development and national security. And this pandemic has made their vulnerabilities exacerbated. And another thing is that the government has used nationality, citizenship, and migration status as criteria for essential services and support during the pandemic. And there has been a stigmatization, discriminations, which led to underrepresentation and lack of participations of migrant workers. And temporarily low-wage or undocumented migrant workers have very restricted or no access to participate fully in the society to deal with these situations.
I sincerely appreciate the effort of the Human Rights Working Group to come up with this report. It gives us an honest documentation on what happened to migrant workers in 7 host countries during the pandemic. The role of the advocates, researchers, and supporters in servicing and protecting the migrants' rights are undeniably crucial. I appeal to our advocates to treat self-organized migrants groups as partners and not merely beneficiary for your service.